All right, today's just going to be a quick check. We are going to see the pyramiding progress on hive left, and we're also going to see if hive right needs a second box yet. All right, not much syrup at all has been taken. Nothing. Everything looks the same as it did when I put these in the hive. There's the queen. A lot of pollen in here and nectar. Just 0 eggs. Nothing on that at all. The backside. This hive's doing nothing. All right, we are at week 4 with this hive. They have not gone beyond this frame, these are the 5 frames that I put in on day 1 in the nuke a month ago. There's nothing going on these frames at all. There are no evidence of eggs in 4 weeks. How much syrup did they take? Oh, there it is. All of it. It's a little bit windy today, but it's really warm. It's nice warm, almost 80 degrees Fahrenheit right now. All right, last week I pyramided the frames in this hive. These 3 brood frames came from the bottom. All right, they've pretty much totally drawn this frame out in a week. There's pollen, nectar, and eggs. Wow, beautiful. And they've already started a new cup, a new queen cup on this frame. Wow, this hive. Yep, it is full. This is a heavy frame. Probably all the nectar I just gave them last week. That's all syrup. All right, I'm not even gonna mess with these up here because these frames were brood last week. I know the queen is laying up here in this top box. Again, remember these were pyramided last week, so I put in empty frames between brood frames so they would draw them out and maybe start laying down here. They're starting to put a little nectar and they're drawing comb. It's just a ton of pollen in here. A lot of little larvae in here. A lot of eggs. This frame is all larvae and eggs. All different stages of brood in here. Beautiful. Again, just full of eggs, full of larvae. This hive is just slamming. There's just there are thousands of eggs in this hive. It's insane contrast from this hive to the other hive, which were put in on the same day, came from the same supplier. Hive left is just totally killing it. They're full of 2 brood boxes in 4 weeks. They filled 2 8-frame deep brood boxes. Hive right is on the same 5 frames that went in when they were a nuke. Have not seen an egg yet. There is a queen in there. Have not seen an egg yet. I've got a really strong hive, and I have a very weak hive that I'm not sure is even has a fertile queen. All right, so I don't know how I'm going to edit this video to show what has happened in the last week, but let's just say that after what happened in the last segment, I called the supplier of the nuke, and I went and got a new queen. I went down to the supplier where I purchased the nuke and told him the story of my queen in hive right, which has not laid an egg in 5 weeks, and he said, you should try a new queen. So he gave me a new queen and he gave me instructions on what to do, and I'm gonna go do that now. All right, so here's the story of the film so far. These hives were nukes 5 weeks ago. They went in. Hive left, which is this big one right here, filled up a deep brood box in 1 week. I put a second brood box on. 2 weeks later, it filled that one up. Hive right over here, the smaller one over there, was put in 5 weeks ago. That hive was a 5-frame nuke. I put in 3 empty frames, and the queen never laid an egg in 5 weeks. So I called the supplier where I got the nuke from. They told me, come back, get a new queen, put her in. I got specific instructions from the supplier on what to do here. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So tell me if this is wrong, comment away. I'm doing what I was told because this guy gave me the queen, he bred the queen, and he said this is what to do. I'm going to open up the small, weak hive one last time and make sure there's no eggs in there. I'm going to remove the queen out of the hive and she's going to die today. I'm going to take 1 or 2 frames of brood from the strong hive right here, put 1 or 2 frames into the weak hive over there, leave it for about 4 to 6 hours, then come back and put the caged queen in with a candy plug, and they will eat out the candy and she'll be out within 2 days, and then he said she should immediately start laying eggs. So that's the plan. So first step is to look into the small hive, make sure there's no eggs, make sure that queen is actually a dud. I'm going to take her out, and then I'm going to take her out. So I've never done this before. This is beekeeping, right? There's the queen right there. The queen is dipping into cells and going through the motions of laying. But when she comes out, I don't see an egg. Alright, the fact remains, even if she is laying occasional eggs, this box has been here for 5 weeks and it is no bigger than it was the day it went in. Alright, I'm removing the frames on the outside here that are not doing anything on this hive. It's just an empty frame, totally empty. So, these come off. I'm going to find a frame of brood to put in from this hive. This should be a frame of brood here. Nice. Alright, this is from the queen in this box. Little pattern of brood there. And there are larvae and eggs on this frame. So I'm going to take this frame and I'm going to put it in the other hive. All different stages of larvae in here. Eggs, capped cells, a lot of eggs on this, a lot of little larvae. I'm going to take this one over, just shake some of these off. So I put a frame of brood with eggs and some capped brood and a lot of eggs and larvae in here. I'm going to find the queen now and I'm going to kill the queen. There she is. All right, I've never picked up a queen. I'm going to try and pick her up. She's running. She's out. She's out of the box. There she is right there. I'm gonna kill her right now. It's not how I wanted to do it, but it's how I did it. I'm sorry, queen. Alright, so that was a little awkward. Picked up the queen. I didn't have a good grip on her. She vibrated herself right out of my hand and flew to the ground. and I tracked her down and she was right there. And so that wasn't really the plan, but the end result is the same. The queen is dead. So now we have a frame of brood and larva from the strong hive over in the weak hive. The queen is dead. The sun is setting. Tomorrow morning, first thing, I'm going to introduce the new queen into the weak hive, the queenless hive. So the supplier told me that if the queen really hadn't been laying in that weak hive for 5 weeks, there's probably not a lot of pheromone action in there because there's no fresh brood. So taking the frame from the stronger hive, which had a lot of new eggs and capped brood, and putting it in the weak hive, it's going to have a lot of pheromone in it. So those bees will probably be a little more accepting to a new queen. So hopefully that's true. We're going to find out first thing tomorrow morning. All right, good morning. It is the next morning. The bees have had a full night with no queen, and I'm now going to requeen with the new queen. All right, there's a couple things here we want to keep in mind. This queen obviously is a new queen, and there's a chance she could get rejected by this hive. So I'm going to open up the hive, put her on top of the frames, and just sort of see what the bees do to her. If the bees start to completely attack the cage and ball her up, then I'm going to take her away and leave them queenless for another day or so. These are the bees that came with the queen. I'm trying to see if she's marked. She is marked. Okay, she's marked yellow in there. New queen. So I'm going to put this inside the hive right next to a brood frame. Queen's going to go in between 2 of the frames. So there's brood right there. That's all brand new brood. I'm going to put her right in here, up against these 2 frames here. I'm going to put her screen side down, and I'm going to put it right into the comb here. Just press it in. Like that. And then I'm going to push this right up against the other frame. Just got to move the bees away a little bit. Watch out, bees. So let's put the cap back on here. And there we go. We've requeened. All right, that was pretty easy. Pretty basic. Got a new queen. I am sorry I had to get rid of the old queen, but that's beekeeping, right? I mean, that's what beekeeping is. You got to make decisions. And you know, I talked to a couple of people, I talked to the supplier, I mean, everyone just sort of said, yeah, it's time. That queen isn't doing anything. So we got rid of the queen. She tried, didn't work out. But we have a new queen, a freshly bred queen, which is actually bred locally, and it's a Russian queen, and it's in the hive now. So we're going to give her 1 week. And we're going to come back, we're going to look for eggs, we're going to check her out, and hopefully we're going to be on to a second level on that hive. So we've missed the spring flow. There is definitely still flowers coming up, probably in about a month or so. Wildflower field is starting to come in. So there is going to be forage for the bees for the summer, but it's not going to be the heavy flow. So the way things are going with hive left, they are building up. They have 2 boxes pretty much full now. I'm going to come back this afternoon and put some syrup on hive left because the hive is starting to really fill up, and there's not a lot of flow right now. There's not a lot of nectar in the hive, but there's a lot of brood in there, and they're still drying comb. So I'm going to give them a little syrup and give them another week, and then I'm going to come back, and there should be a lot more flowers in bloom at that time, and I might try the flow frames on this hive. That's where we are. So it's been a weird month here at the bee yard, but I think things are on track now, and we'll check in with you guys in about a week. Thanks for watching.